Hey guys, welcome back to my first Q&A in terms of moon base building and my Rovers tutorial. Now, once you have the components built, you got to send them into space. So why don't we do that? Let's go to the Space Center. Let's load up some of my vehicles. Let's say I want to send, I don't know, let's send, what are we going to send? We're going to send Voyager. Where are we going to send? Where is it? Voyager, Supertanker, Orbital, Rescue Shuttle, Rover plus Sky Crane. I can't seem to find my own shuttles. Hold on. Let's go down title. Let's see what we got here. No, this is one of my ships. Anyways, let's load Dennis's Sky Crane that he sent me. Now, Dennis's Sky Crane generally was a good composition. Normally when you load your component or rover, whatever it is, you got to understand the top part wobbles. So what he did, of course, he put the RCS to wobble it, and then he put a decoupler as well. So just by looking at this, I know that he's using this to pretty much stabilize this either on takeoff or in space. Of course, the RCS makes it possible to be able to move this whole component in space until he lands it. Now, the disadvantage of this design itself is that he has a lot of RCS components that he has on the ship itself. Also, I wouldn't recommend using thrusters, as he has thrusters here, because thrusters use up a lot of RCS, especially for such a small ship that he has here. So first thing I would replace the actual thrusters with linear thrusters. Let's go to our linear thrusters if I can find them. And now the disadvantage with linear thrusters is that you need to put them on all four sides for that to actually work. But since this is going to be on land, so it means I probably won't use the component to do anything, but I mean in terms of moving up and down. So maybe I don't need these thrusters, the down and up ones, but never mind, we'll keep them. Maybe if it's on zero gravity, I can use them as well. So another thing again to keep in mind is where are you sending your component? If you're sending it to an atmosphere, it means your general design of launching it and launching it to the location has to change. Are you already having an orbit, a delivery system? And if not, if you're having your ship, your whole shuttle is delivering the ship to that target planet with an atmosphere, then you're gonna have to obviously keep in a design to be able to deliver the component in one piece. If it's an atmosphere, it means you're gonna have a lot of parachutes. You're gonna have maybe a couple of components sticking out. Hold on, let's go to the structures. You may be gonna have a couple of components. Let's just move to the next. Where is it? Aerodynamics, structures. You're gonna maybe want to have, if you're going to an atmosphere, structures maybe sticking out and being able to sticking out from both sides, and then you're gonna have engines on top, so you can sort of slow down as you're entering the atmosphere. Your actual design itself will have to be thought out. I don't really know. The problem is that the components don't feel like working. Yeah, okay, here we go. So for example, if I'm going to be using this delivery system for an atmosphere, disadvantage is that obviously I can't pretty much do anything with it. So what I'll do is I'll deliver it, and then I'll cut this engine off, then I'll have some engines here to slow it down, and then I'd have a lot of parachutes. And now of course I couldn't deliver it this way because then it would land on the nose, it would break. So the whole component itself would have to be switched to horizontal. It means the wheels would have to be down. So let's move that off. So the actual component itself would have to be rotated. Hold on. There we go. So the actual component, I'd have to deliver it this way. Now, if I'd be delivering it to an atmosphere, if I'm going to be delivering it, let's say if I'm going to have my delivery system pushing it up, I'm going to have another delivery system from up. It means I'm going to have maybe a rocket here with extended, you can say, wings to the side to be able to slow it down. I hope that makes sense. To be able to slow it down. Also with parachutes, it might need to have to slow it down to deliver it on its actual wheels, you know. That's if I'd have one rocket. The whole rocket would be made to send it to orbit, deliver it, and drop it to its actual target location. But then again, it depends. This I'll probably cover in my advanced more in terms of having various delivery methods to various planets. But let's just go back to our basic one. So this is, I think, one of the basic tutorial. So we'll cover the basic stuff first. So first thing that I did, or that I'm going to do, is just by looking at this, is you can have an asparagus system. So I don't know why you don't do that. And second thing is, when I launched your ship the first time, Dennis, is the ship has a lot of speed. A lot of speed is really nice, but a lot of speed in the beginning is really bad because it's inefficient. So what I'm going to do with you, with your actual structure, is I'm going to redesign the engines and make them more fuel efficient, and of course I'll get more out of it. So firstly, I'm making the asparagus system, as you see. The cool thing is you did the double, you did dual symmetry, so I pretty much have the asparagus system set. I don't know why I didn't use it with this one. It's pretty much already preset. So here's my asparagus system. Let's just move the cranes down so we don't destroy them every time. And the 3 engines, where are the 3 engines? The 3 engines are there. They'll also launch at the same time. Since we're going to be using asparagus, everything launches at the same time. Now, the last one on our asparagus system is this. So let's move that into place. And then we move the second one into place. Okay, and then I presume this is the last one, so that last deployment. Great. And now, as remember, when I was launching your ship, I said it has a lot of speed. Again, keep in mind, if you have a lot of initial speed when you're launching, it's great, but if you're reaching over 200 meters per second below 10,000 meters, that's a little bit too fast. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look, and you have 1 mainsail, 2nd mainsail. We can leave that, that's fine. But what we're going to do is, for your 3rd mainsail, we're going to switch that, and we're going to switch that with hold on, let's rotate that so it fits. We're going to switch that with these, but we're going to obviously put the stronger version of these. This is the 250 thrust. We're going to put the 215 thrust, the little bigger ones. Okay, there you go. So obviously these are more efficient. What the hell's that? Really? Wow, I had no idea I could get away with a glitch like that. That's pretty cool. Hold on. It's going crazy. Why can't I select this? Okay, it bugged out. The actual thing bugged out. Never mind, let's reload it. Okay, here we are. And now what I did is I switched your 3rd part, the 3rd stage. I put it with the slightly stronger engines than the ones you have. It doesn't have vectoring. I think these engines don't have vectoring, but they're a little bit more powerful, which is exactly what we need. So just alone, this thing will be great. And of course, what we could further do is just to give it a little bit of a push. You know, this doesn't have to be necessary, but you know, why the hell not? Is we can put in a small little booster as well, 30-second booster. So let's go to our structures, or let's go to no, not this one. Where are the actual different add-on components? Where the hell is it? This is the problem with all these mods. There's just too much. It's not categorized good enough. So where is it? Where is it? There it is. So this is our first stage. So we'll put it there again. These need to be connected. These need to be connected. Okay. And what we could do is put a small SRB solid rocket booster here. So let's do that. There you go. Now we'll switch the solid rocket boosters, and of course the solid rocket boosters hopefully will finish earlier than our mainsails will. Okay. And now we have one of these. We'll move that away. We'll put it, maybe stick it there. And that we could maybe stick it on our solid rocket booster there. Okay, so now we have an asparagus staging system set up. Your ingenious way of stabilizing is pretty good. As mentioned before, output is an SAS, not a smart SAS. And another thing is, your small ship like this, it's overkill to put the proper RCS thrusters, output linear thrusters. But again, keep in mind that when you have linear thrusters, you got to put them on all 4 sides, because the linear thrusters, as you see, only go... Hold on, I lost it somewhere. Only go up and down, so you gotta have to put them on all 4 sides to make sure. So remove all your linear thrusters. It's really overkill to have linear thrusters on such a tiny ship. Okay, and really nice design though. So there we have linear thrusters. Your RCS, such a small one for this many linear thrusters, is more than enough. So your RCS will last a hell of a lot longer. Keep that in mind. So that's it. Let's save it. And I guess we can launch this, and we'll see how it goes this time. Now again, remember, the way you're delivering this system, I presume you're probably going to deliver it to a 0 atmosphere. Now the cool thing is with the 0 atmosphere, I can land this on my tail. So what I'd do is I'd also land this, I'd put landing gear here. I'd land this on my tail like any rocket, and then I just disengage the decoupler. And because I have the RCS and the 0 gravity, I can pretty much move this like in the air. It would like float in the air, and then it would float down to the ground. You know, that's the advantage of landing with 0 gravity. You know, so that's pretty much it. Hold on, let's just put the landing gears. Yeah, I'm back. I had to take a little bit of break. So let's go to the landing gears, structures, and this is the way I would land it again. This is actually, I'll rename this to a Q&A landing thing. Q&A session for a landing. So if you guys have any troubles landing or sending your ships or components into space, just send them to me, and then I'll create a sort of Q&A landing thing for it. Now the claw, useful for returning debris. This is the problem with all these components. I don't know half the shit that's here. So here it is, the usual landing gears that I'm used to. Here we have 4 landing gears, so we're gonna land on our ass, and once we land on our butts, then we shall obviously start moving into space. Now another thing that I would also like to do is, maybe because these two are going to wobble, what I'm hopefully planning to do is use the jumbo jet, is be able to get into space with the jumbo. Well, we'll see how it goes as I am testing it out. Did you group anything with your action groups? Let's take a look. No, nothing really? You don't use action groups at all? I'm surprised you don't use action groups, Dennis. Okay, so take a look at my action groups tutorial. That would be pretty cool. And really, you don't use action groups? A lot of energy. You have thermal generators, that's why you have no solar panels on this. Okay, so I think this is pretty much it. I did convert yours to asparagus, of course, because of the additional speed. I kept the last stage, the release one. I put it much more fuel efficient engines, and of course much better at higher altitudes. Mainsails are much better on atmosphere. Since we're landing on the moon, or your ship is going to be going to the moon, your component's going to be going to the moon, we can use this method with this type of ship. It means I'm going to land it on its butt. And let's actually, hold on, let's go back to the thingy. Let's move these a little bit lower. Let's move them as low as possible, because I don't want to... we're going to land it on its butt, and because there's no atmosphere, we can use then the RCS. We can obviously decouple, which will hopefully push, because there's a sort of thrust, which will push our ship up, and then we can actually land this on the actual moon without any problem at all. Now, of course, this wouldn't work if you're this sort of staging. You'd have to have a different delivery method if you're going to deliver this to an atmosphere. But yeah, this is going to be a Q&A. This is quite a cool idea that I just came up with. We'll call this a Q&A for the moon landing and Rovers tutorial. So if you have any problems, email them to me at AddmeGamers. AddMeGamers@addmegamers.com, or visit my site addmegamers.com, and there you can contact me and just attach it there and send it. So let's take a look and launch this thing. Okay, now hopefully our burners are going to finish earlier, our SRBs are going to finish earlier. Again, that extra boost, and any type of extra boost is great. Now, as you notice, that is wobbling, but it's fine. That is fine. SRBs, unfortunately, I think they might knock out our fins, but we will see how that goes. Okay. Finished. We release them. No, it's fine because of the actual injection system. That's fine. We can release that as well. Okay, so now we're on 2. We're at 4,000 meters, and we are just gaining speed still, so that's pretty good. Now, the main thing is I would like to, by the second tank, I'd like to get as high as possible, of course, because these won't be as efficient. But remember, the mainsails are the most efficient in the atmosphere. Well, obviously not the most fuel efficient, but in terms of pushing us forward and getting that thrust going, I think they're great. So that's a completely different tutorial. I actually have to research in terms of the engines. Again, I do want to keep it below 200 meters per second for the 10,000 meters, so as you see, I am just about exceeding my 200 meters at the 10,000 meter mark. So this is really a much more efficient way than what you generally initially had, Dennis, because at the 10,000 meter mark you're probably going around 600 meters per second, which was ridiculously fast for such a ship. Now if we can actually go a little bit higher, I don't want to brake. I do want to get as high as possible before I actually start braking. And now we are going to lose a bit of speed. Again, I do want to get that altitude up until it actually stops to slow down. And once it stops to slow down, as you see it's slowing down now, then I'm going to brake to my 90-degree right. Okay, so but with the amount of fuel I'm using now, it'll take quite a long time. Okay, we're done. So again, look at the ball. Never look at the ship when you're going. Look at the ball. Look at where 90 degrees on the right is, and then again, I'm using W, A, S, and D. I push A because A is to the left of the ball. I'd never look at the ship in terms of getting my orientation because you're gonna get completely confused. Now we're gonna use our RCS a bit to get a little bit of a control on it. Okay, we're gonna use our RCS components, and as you see, we have plenty of fuel left, and we are still going up in space. Let's just see how we're at 26,000 meters high. That's so far so good. Okay, I think we could switch off our RCS, and because these are vectoring engines, the central ones, so that should sort of again help us to stay on target a little bit more than normal. So so far so good, I think. No problems at all. I don't know what problem he had with the actual crane itself in terms of launching. It didn't get in the way at all. But we'll see. We're finally increasing speed. Let's see how we are. We are increasing speed. So far, so good. And we will have that one orange tank. Now, the thing is that I was worried about, I didn't want to put support struts between because I think it'll wobble. But we'll see how it is. Again, I did recommend to put support struts between here and there to keep it more solid, actually, between here and the tank, because you can't put support struts to the actual decouplers, which is a pity. Now it is starting to wobble a bit, but it's fine. It's nearly at the end of its stage, so that's fine. Okay, we're at 40,000 meters high and climbing. And we're pretty good speed. Remember, we need 2,200 meters per second, so we can get a very quick orbit. So we're nearly halfway there, and we have another full orange tank as well. Obviously, it won't be going as fast without these engines, but still, we will hopefully get to a good, decent amount of speed. Nearly going to be releasing soon. And there we go, we release. You see it did slow down, but we still are in orbit. Let's put our RCS on now a bit. And of course we are going to be consuming much... Ah shit, I forgot there's RCS blocks at the top. Shit, it's going to be eating up a lot of our fuel. Can I disable them? Disable RCS thrusters. Let's switch them off. Disable RCS thrusters. Disable RCS thrusters. Disable. Cool. And hold on, let's stop that, kill that. Let's go up a bit. Stop that. Restart our engines. Put our RCS on. Let's move 90 degrees. We only need 700 meters per second to have the good orbital speed required. So I think these small modifications are really good. You know, that I just showed you to make. We don't even need these RCS on, actually. I can switch this off. Pretty much. It's not as wobbly, it's a little bit more stable in the air. So there we go. I don't really know what problems you have. Again, we are going a little bit further away, so let's cut the engines, catch up to our actual apoapsis. And now we restart our engines again. And again, I do want to get as much of a 90-degree angle. I only need 500 meters per second till I have optimum ejection trajectory. So let's take a look at our fuel. Half a tank of orange, that's more than enough. So there we go. 800, 900, come on. And now again, if you have too little fuel, what you could do is add solid rocket boosters to not your initial stage, but to your second stage, the big ones, the 60-second ones. Like that means you'd have more fuel in your orange tank when you're in the air. You know, so in case you're running out of fuel, that means just add more power in the beginning, you know what I mean? So like that, you'll have more fuel in this orange tank. Because from the looks of it, I should be able to get orbit. I'm not sure if I could maybe even use this to help me to get to the moon, but probably yes. You know, okay, hold on, let's cut the power. I do want to keep it as efficient as possible. Let's move closer to our actual apoapsis, because we do want to burn out our apoapsis. I hope you watched my fuel efficiency tutorial. You know, so that should have helped you out a bit. Again, you notice I do put the RCS on. Okay, now we actually do have the orbit. So, let's go to the smallest point, the narrowest point, to get our actual orbit itself. Let's do that quickly. And what I'm going to do is burn close to the smallest point we need to make an ejection towards the actual moon itself. So I have my super tanker and the moon. So let's go. Okay, we're nearly at our periapsis. Again, if you have such a small ship, maybe make a couple of rounds. Maybe make a couple of rounds across. Yes, as you see, it is much more difficult to rotate the ship. But at the end of the day, I am saving quite a lot of RCS. You know, so... And again, once I switch on my engines, it becomes much more controllable, because these have vectoring. So I don't really mind. I use much less RCS, and that means I'll have more RCS to help me when I get to the moon. Remember? So okay, there we are, and we're nearly at our periapsis, so we can start our burn. And as you see, it's much more controllable now because I'm using the keys, and our vectoring is helping us out quite a bit. So now again, this thing is obviously going to have to go at a couple of times. So we're going to push out one time. Maybe reach till here, stop, make a turn, push out, start our burns again, make a turn, push out again. You know, just watch my fuel efficiency tutorial. We're going to do that to save as much fuel as possible, because I am hopefully going to try to get to the moon using this method. So we're at what? 100,000. Okay, I'm going to cut that now, and I'm going to go around, and I'm going to burn again, and I'm going to burn again, and I'm going to burn again, until I get my orbit as close as possible to the moon. And I'll see you guys when I get there. Bye. So here we are. We do have the intersection. Let's take a look at how we're doing. As you do see, the smart SAS keeps moving the flaps whether you like it or not, even though it is in space. Though, and you do see the vectoring engines are also still moving, so even though they're not on, but never mind. That might be fixed later on, but never mind that. So anyways, so we have an intersection with our moon, so let's go towards our moon then. Let's speed up a little bit quickly. We are going to be slowing down as we get further out into space. And the moon's going to be catching up. Okay, there we go. Now, of course, if we start braking from now, our orbit's going to be very far out, so let's get as close as possible as well. Let's get as close as possible. That's the problem with time warp. You got to be very, very careful. And the second thing, we do want to switch to the other side. Now, another thing I would also suggest you to do, Dennis, is put your maybe the either the linear ones as well over here. As you see, it does take quite a long time to spin around. So maybe a couple of SAS. Maybe I want to put the big thrusters again. That's a waste. As you see, I'm not holding SAS anymore down because I already have the momentum going. So let's take a look. We're nearly there. We're at 180,000 meters from the moon. So. Let's get as close as possible. Okay, that's fine. Brake. Get our orbit. Wow, funnily it actually turned out to be nearly on top of our target. So that is pretty funny. Okay, so let's brake a little bit more. And there we go. So now, of course, what we got to do is we got to get again our orbit on top of our actual orbit line on top of our target, which is, I think, on this side, parallel to this side, to move the other two sides. Let's see. Yep. Lower, much lower. Yeah. There we go. The best way to check it out, if you have parallel, always look at the side. There we go, a little bit more. And we're there. I'm going to fast forward this, because watch my targeted landing and you'll see exactly what I'm doing. So this section I'm going to fast forward all the way till I get on the landing. Well, I'm here, and finally landed it. Now, a few things. The landing was rough, but I did manage to land it. A few things I'd like to add is that decouple is that the actual the actual crane itself, of course, moves the center of mass to another point, so that I'd cancel, that I'd sort of to have to keep that in mind, so you might want to put additional weight on the other side. But otherwise, so far, if you do retract the hinge closer to the center of mass, as you notice, that is a little bit easier to land. But anyways, I would redesign it so there's a little bit weight, same weight on the other side as well. So far, overall, this is a little bit tricky, as you did see, but through the small little adjustments and fixes that I've made on the ship itself, it becomes much more manageable. So I hope this helped you, and I hope you enjoyed it. Take care. Bye. Oh, and one last thing, just before I go, I think I finally did realize why the hell you had these landing struts. It's a really cool idea. You did want to sort of match up the crane. Now, keep in mind, the crane, they do have these landing struts, so they can both be moved down, and so they can make the actual crane itself leveled out. Unfortunately, with these struts you can't do that. As you see, you are still angled though, so unless the actual struts themselves are extendable each individually, then you can actually level the so-called crane up and then use the crane as most effectively as possible without being able to tilt it. But still, it's a really cool idea. It's really nice that you did try to get it as close as possible to the actual real things of life. So maybe, hopefully, some guy will be able to make a mod that actually allows these struts individually to extend and retract and have their own, you can say, hydraulic suspensions, so you can actually level out the actual structure itself.